Greetings, BlazeLeeDragon here again, and I'm still here on my lunch at work on break. Good stuff. So, I was mentioning I would like to do a video in response and in regards to my last video that I just posted that has to do with, teachers. People have this tendency to where they think and then they read a few books and then they get their own opinion and then they start claiming stuff. This particularly has been very popular with Wicca and witchcraft and just a lot of magic in general. But witch and Wiccan are two terms that a lot of people are just slapping on themselves with little to no knowledge, and it's happening quite often. And I always have been saying in many of my videos that you should look for a teacher or learn from someone. Actually learn the art before you start claiming it. Picking up a book, calling yourself a witch does not make it so. I want to go a little bit further into that today. When it comes to having a teacher, I want to point out the fact that no one person knows everything. I don't claim to know everything, and I'm never going to. Look back at some of my videos. These are my opinions, thoughts, and insights. Take them or leave them as you will. When you have a teacher, that person has had experiences, they have grown through it, they've learned it, they've been taught it. All learning and all lessons and all teachings started out with someone who had no clue of anything, looked at the world, developed something, gave it a name, and people over time passed it down from person to person and developed it. That's where we get all of our sciences, all of our religions, all of our faiths, even our language. Everything that we know, all of our knowledge is based upon just some people having no clue and then making it. So everything was created. I don't care who you are, what you're talking about. Some people will argue that. I don't care if it was divine inspiration. It was still created and altered by individuals throughout time. That also goes to say that just because something is brand new does not make it any less relevant than something that's ancient. Also, something that's ancient does not make it any more powerful necessarily than something that was just created. So keep that in mind. Prime example, old healing systems. Some people used to think that you have to bleed the evil out of you. And having leeches on you or, cutting you so that you bleed out in order to heal you is not necessarily good practice. We know that today. Some people might still believe that or have, theories or things that they like about that. But, that's... We have enough knowledge out there now where we could research and determine whether or not that's good for us. And that's the truth with many practices. We have enough out there to determine, martial arts, what's effective, what's not effective, in what situations, being a warrior with a sword and having the military run around with swords instead of guns, things like that. Maybe they want to have both, maybe they want to have some diversity. Just some things to keep in mind. Now, when it comes to a teacher, like I said, those are their experiences. So you don't necessarily want to listen to just everything your teacher says, but at the same time, you do. You want to take into consideration everything they say. You want to respect them. You want to be able to call them a master, otherwise what's the point in learning from them? And then as you learn from them, you want to also learn yourself. Most teachers will teach you to teach yourself. So you will continually go to them for guidance for years and years to come. You will continually learn lessons from them. You will continually be guided by them. And then you'll also take the time to think for yourself, to learn for yourself, to work through things yourself, and to read and research on your own as well. What I mean by needing a teacher is that you need a teacher as part of your learning curriculum. You also need to take the time to learn by yourself. You need to read books. You need to go out there and practice and explore, etc. You want to do it safely. You don't just necessarily learn a particular alchemical recipe and run out there and start messing with chemicals. It's a building process. And I think that a lot of people who have heard me saying you need a teacher is me saying that's the only way for you to become a witch or a Wiccan or whatever else, a sorcerer, a druid, a shaman, whatever practice we're talking about. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that a teacher is your best bet, and a teacher is going to be the most potent for helping you. Because a book is just like having a teacher. It is one person's view, it is one person's words who got published. However, with a teacher, you can kind of follow your instincts and trust your instincts of whether or not they're full of shit. Same thing when you're picking up a book. Follow your instincts. If it doesn't feel right, put it down. With a teacher, you have the ability to ask questions and interact. So you can customize your training to you. A book is just written. What is there is there. What you interpret is all on you. So it is better to have a teacher as well as the books. Books, not a book. And most people that have become witches on their own have practiced, learned, researched, and read for years. We're talking 15, 20, 30 years. It's a lifelong journey. It's not just something you pick up overnight, just, oh, this is me. I mean, people are going to do what they want, that's fine. I'm not going to argue that. But I am going to tell you my opinion on it, and my opinion on it is this is crap. The other thing to keep in mind, too, is groups. You know, you've heard of covens. Everyone's heard of them. All these people want to be solitary. Well, if you don't practice with others, you don't learn from others, you don't get that experience of interacting with others. Like learning martial arts and just shadow boxing your whole life. There's a whole new level you can learn from sparring. Interacting with someone in mock battles in order to better utilize your skills. Also, seeing how other people take it, seeing their other perception. Listening to goofy asses like me on YouTube. It is helpful to learn from others, whether it be a teacher or a co-walker of the path, whatever the case may be. So when you're looking and trying to explore and become something, you work with the resources you got. I get that. Just make sure that you expand upon as many resources as you can. Talk to people, learn from people, ask people questions, develop your own questions, develop your own theory, develop your own mind. Just know, the more you customize it, the more you make it your own, the less it is of the initial. It's kind of like diluting something. You know, if you take a little bit of vodka and splash it in a cup and you start adding cream and water, eventually there's not going to be very much vodka left. Same thing is going to happen when you talk about magic and mysticism. If you are learning witchcraft the best you can on your own, and you read one book, you're getting one person's perspective. Now, if you read another book, now there's two different forms of witchcraft, two different family practices. Then you start talking to friends, and you start adding in together stuff like meditation, which is not a practice of witchcraft. Want to argue that with me? Go ahead. This stuff originated in Hinduism. There are other techniques, such as filling the cauldron and gazing inward, that are similar to meditation that are not meditation. Also, a lot of people don't know how to meditate properly, but that's an entirely another video. I want you to keep in mind that once you start blending all this stuff together, you start getting a salad bowl, and you're no longer eating just the lettuce. It's your own thing, which is good. That's fine, but it's no longer witchcraft. It's no longer sorcery. It's no longer shamanism. It's no longer druidry. It's no longer magery. It's no longer wizardry. Whatever path that you're studying, the more that you dilute it, the less it is of the original. So just keep that in mind. That's fine. That's good. Embrace that, but acknowledge that. If you do get practices from other stuff, at least acknowledge where you get them from. So, once again, tap all your resources. If you're going to learn something, learn one tradition, adapt that tradition, become that tradition. You know? Mix and match, then now you're eclectic. You're not one thing anymore. Welcome to the life of the average American. There's not very many resources. We all know that. We all get that. So embrace that and know that and trust that and just be you. If it feels right, who cares? If you feel better calling yourself something, fine. But, you know, I've made this conversation before. It's like watching a video on ninjutsu, or you see a ninja on TV, which, by the way, they're actually called shinobi, or for females, it's kino-ichi, which is the female version of shinobi, or shinobi no mano. Watching a movie or reading a book on it doesn't automatically make you a ninja. There was different clans, they had different morals, they had different techniques, they had different powders and weapons and ways of doing their things. You can't necessarily make the ninja fit you and still be a ninja. You can be yourself and be influenced by ninja, but you can't make ninja fit what you think a ninja should be and then expect that to be a ninja and have others accept you as a ninja. That's all I'm trying to say with all of this. But if you go out there and you learn some martial arts and you learn some sneaking around and you mix and mesh and try to mimic it, once again, it's not necessarily what you're trying to mimic. Even if you're getting as close as you can, it's still not necessarily what you're trying to mimic. So learn from someone, find yourself a teacher, read a book, research on your own. See the circle I'm going in here? There's a progress to becoming. And ultimately, what is your goal? Is your goal just to be able to claim the title Witch or Wiccan or Druid? Or is your goal to become? Is your goal to learn and to enhance yourself and to become one? What is your goal? Ultimately, look at what your goal is and then try to reach and obtain it through a reasonable, rational, and logical manner. So these are just my thoughts. I think my lunch is over. BlazeLeeDragon wishing you a fruitful journey, and hopefully you've enjoyed my lunch as much as I have. And yeah, I think I'm done talking now.